But moving to our reporter, Pule Letshwiti-Jones. Pule, I believe you're in the Nomzamo area. There's been a prayer meeting. Do we have, before we get into where the community's at and what's happening there at the moment, has there been any update on the search for these 5 suspects believed to be from Nongoma?
Well, Sally, for now what we understand is that the police minister, Pule, had of course told the community members here in Nomzamo, informal settlement in Soweto, that there was of course a manhunt for these 5 suspects. But apart from that, there hasn't really been an update as to whether there's been any arrests. But I do remember the police minister, Pule, alluding to the fact that the investigations were quite sensitive, that they were working tirelessly to ensure that they can conclude the investigations. And what we also saw now was the deploying of the tactical task team known as Amaperet to this informal settlement and around Orlando. And we also saw them being joined by the Johannesburg Metro Police Department and other SAPS officials as well, patrolling and ensuring that they can try to fight crime. But at the center of it all, we've also seen some of these activist groups such as Soweto Parliament and of course Operation Tudula, who I just bumped into when I got here as well. But before I speak to them, apart from that, we saw some of the community members here and church leaders. The service hasn't started yet, and we do know that it was expected to start at 4:30. I presume that it's been delayed. They're probably waiting for other congregants and community members and family members to make their way here to the venue. But on my left hand side, this is the Mdlalose Tavern where the tragic incident actually took place. And we understand that now officials have come here to try and collect some of those clues which will help them conclude their investigation. But perhaps let's speak to Operation Tudula. I'm joined by Zandile Dambula. Thank you very much for joining us on eNCA, Zandile. So you guys have been quite vocal about the crime, especially in this area as well. But one may ask, are you happy with the recent deployment of more officials to the area?
Pule, I must say that we are happy for now. We know it will not last forever. I wish that our minister could even deploy more of them in the other surrounding areas and just not here. And with these deployments, can it happen always and not just when there's an incident like this that happened? Can he deploy more of the police, more of the Metro Police in and around Soweto, because that's where most of the crimes are happening, especially where there's informal settlements. That's where most of the crime is happening.
I'm sure this must sort of be a concern. I mean, 5 suspects, shooting and killing about 15 patrons over here must be a concern for these community members. Have you spoken to some of the residents here regarding their safety as well?
We've spoken to some of them. I must say that they're living in fear, because they would tell us that there's random shootings here, especially on weekends, right, in the middle of the night and in the early hours of the morning. Then they would hear random shootings. But we as South Africans, we just need to unite and and fight against this criminality that's happening in our country. Whether you're coming from Venda, you're coming from Limpopo or wherever, we just need to unite as South Africans and fight against this criminality happening here in South Africa.
Thank you very much, Sally, for joining us. Before the program starts, Sally, we do understand that there will be also the community members from other neighboring informal settlements around here as well. But most importantly, just like she's mentioned, this is more of a problem of crime in this area, and the police minister did mention to say that they head on heels to ensure that they can try and fight this crime in this informal settlement and ensure that such an incident does not happen again.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us. That's Pule Letshwiti-Jones.